I certainly do. It's not one of our mates in the sea. The annual humpback whale migration is coming, excuse the pun, to the tail end as they head to Antarctica to have a chilly summer feed. Now, I haven't got you a humpback whale to speak to, but the very next best thing for more, I'm joined by wildlife scientist Dr. Vanessa Pirotta, Australia's favourite whale expert, I'd argue. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the studio.
Hello, Nate. If I was to speak whale to you, thank you for having me.
No, that's close enough. You've made up for not being able to get me an actual humpback whale. Hey, Vanessa, this time of year, we've seen whales up and down the coast. Are we just about done with it now?
No, you're right. We are coming to the tail end. The humpback whales are making their journey back to Antarctica to spend the summer feeding. And then we'll see them once again on the east and the west coast humpback highways, where they'll come in our warm, actually I should say, the winter time, where it's a lot cooler down in Antarctica. They need to go north to have their babies.
Yeah, to chase the warm water,
yes,
right?
and go to the whale disco.
Tell me about the whale disco.
Lots of males singing and attracting the ladies, and then there's been a lot of reproduction, but also calving as well, so that they're having their babies.
Perfect. Now, something I've been talking about for a long time now, in fact, for the last 18 months or so, we've seen record high temperatures across the ocean. Things have ducked down a little bit. They're still only, if it wasn't for the last 18 months, we would still be at record temperatures. Well, how is that affecting whales?
That's a really good question, and often it takes an animal the size of a bus to let us know that there are changes in the ocean. Yeah. And I would say the last 18 months is probably too short for us to scientifically say, at least in the whale world, these changes are having X, Y and Z impacts. But it's really important for us to be aware of the changes that we are creating through warming oceans does have implications for these marine giants that traverse across the seas, don't recognise international borders, and when there's food present, they will go to that. In fact, some species, like the Brutus whale, which we've just done recent research on, may be in Australian waters year-round, feeding on these resources that are susceptible to climate change.
Right, so we could, in fact, perhaps see more whales more often if the oceans are warmer? Potentially.
So we've now seen humpback whales feeding en route back to Antarctica in the southern waters here in Australia. So this is kind of like the equivalent of you and I going from Melbourne to Canberra, stopping and having a nice healthy snack on the way, and then going to have our main lunch, that kind of thing. But yes, it can potentially cause disrupt, or at least I should say supplementary additions to what these animals do, where traditionally it's feed in one area, breed in another.
Yeah, and of course they're mammals, right?
Correct.
So just like us, body temperature regulation is really important.
Yes.
Like you can't get too warm for too long.
That's right. And one of the other theories that scientific studies have suggested is that the movement of humpback whale breeding grounds may shift with these dramatic changes in climate change in the ocean. So it is huge. And for us people watching us talking about whales at home, whales are important for all of us. They feed in one area and poo in another, fertilising the food that we eat. And they also help provide this ecosystem service with carbon sequestration. Whoa, it's a big word for morning TV. But essentially they can help store carbon in their bodies, and then when they die, which these animals can live up to 80 years, they can go down to the deepest part of the oceans, taking that carbon with them.
Oh, I love that. The whale poo.
Yes.
Everybody poos.
Everyone poos.
It's important for science.
It's so important. In fact, if I was privileged to be next to whale poo, I'd be scooping it up. And then, that's right, not with my hands, but with vials.
Right, okay, because it's science. It's not, this isn't a personal thing. You're not like, yes, poo.
Nate, I collect whale snot, right? So we've gotten the whale snot, but the poo, and that's the main reason we're looking at whale snot off Sydney to learn more about their health, is because these animals aren't pooing in our waters, right? Because they're not generally feeding. So to see whales poo, for me, is exciting because these animals are showing us so much about what they're doing in the environment. If they're feeding and hanging out in one spot, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's almost like a bit of a core of, like taking an ice core, but it's of their history, right?
Oh, I love it. Yes, Nate.
You get an understanding about where they've been, who they've been feeding on.
Yes, and then that can tell us more about the environment. So essentially we can see whales as these massive school buses of scientific laboratories in the ocean that we can collect samples from, be it whale snot or whale poo. Sorry if you're eating breakfast right now.
Yeah, apologies, Australia.
But it's all important in the name of science, kids. You need to learn about this.
Yeah, actually, why is it important for us to know about whales?
It's important because these animals play such important roles for all of us. And for many people, they didn't see whales when they were growing up because they were nearly hunted to extinction. So not all populations are a success story, but it's so important for when you can be walking around and seeing what you see. I grew up in Canberra, I didn't see any whales there, but it's the fascination that people have with them. And if it's that fascination to get them to connect with their blue backyard, then why don't we use whales? It's like the panda. It's an iconic animal that plays such, well, at least I would say the whales play much more of an important role in the environment. Sorry, panda lovers, but it is an important animal that we can connect with.
And you do connect with people through your books and all of your talking about whales, kids and adults.
Yes.
And you've been recognised for your leadership in science last night as well.
Yes, I was here in Melbourne. I got my award. I've won the Emerging Leader in Science category for the Women's Agenda Award, which is so cool because we don't really celebrate science so often. We've got the Prime Minister's prizes, which is exciting for science, and this is now another wonderful thing for us to celebrate science. But also in my books, Humpback Highway, I write for children as well. It's all about sharing information with everyone so we can all connect and protect with our blue backyard.
Thank you so much for doing that and also for joining us here on News Breakfast. Can you promise to come in again next time you're in Melbourne?
Yes, thank you, Nate, for bringing science to Australia.